In this video, we want to show you how to draw crown margins in the Clinux software. As we know, margins are a central focus of every dentist on the planet, and the reason is because good margins equal good quality dentistry. So we're going to show you now how to draw margins in the Clinux software in the most effective ways possible. First thing we're going to show you now is an occlusal view. So drawing the margin directly from the occlusal view, you'll see that this approach tends to get us a margin very quickly, as we see here. The downside to this technique is, many times the margin is going over the edge, and so the user has to go over the entire margin now after they've drawn it and make sure that it's lining up where they want to have it done. As I said, it's a very fast way to get started. The only tricky part is, as you see here, having to go back in and double check that all the margins are in fact correct. You'll notice there's tooltips by the cursor here, which tells you how to interact with the margin. So double clicking to start drawing a margin or editing it, and a single click in between, and then double clicks to rejoin the margin. Now we're looking at drawing the margin from an angle. So rotating the model, let's say 45 degrees to the viewer's angle, and then from this perspective drawing the margin and going step by step. So literally trying to place the margin perfectly as we go around. This is the idea here is to do this once and not draw the margin multiple times, but just go through and lock it down exactly where we believe. Now you'll notice that the user here is rotating the model as they're drawing the margin, and this is an essential piece to this technique and requires a little bit of dexterity in using your mouse. We'll come to that here in a few minutes. But so the 45-degree angle has the advantage of drawing the margin once basically and being done with it, and maybe looking for some small areas which need correction, what have you. There's one here, and so with a double click we edit and then finish with a double click, and we do it that way. So let's look a little bit closer to the mouse behavior itself. So a left click, you'll see, will rotate the model in Clinux, while a right click will move the model. And so we're going to show that here in a few seconds. And in addition, your mouse probably has a scrolling wheel, which is good, because if you scroll forward, you zoom in on the Clinux model, and if you scroll backwards, the effect is to zoom out. And so these functions are the essential pieces of drawing your margin. And so now, for example, let's put some of this into action. So now I'm going to left click, and I'm holding down that left mouse button while I'm moving my mouse up and down, and this is rotating the model. If I now move my mouse from left to right, you see the model rotates accordingly, and this is how the left mouse button is interacting with the models. If I now click on the right mouse button and hold that down and move the mouse from left to right, up and down, I'm now moving the model on the canvas from left to right, up and down, and so on. And if we want to zoom in, again, we scroll forward, and we use these different functions now to position the model in the way that we want to draw our margin. So for example, now I've rotated or zoomed in into the model. I'm going to rotate now to this 45-degree angle and start drawing my margin here. So, and we have the benefit of being able to see many times at this 45-degree angle a small line which indicates, or shadow rather, that indicates where the margin begins and ends. And so I'm able to follow that along here very easily. And also coming through here into this interproximal surface. This is the only area where you really cannot rotate the model much. So you have to do this from the occlusal view. And we rejoin the margin with a double click here. And just double check that we don't miss anything. And there was one little spot there, so that's all done. And that's looking now really good. And so we've got our margin now on our crown. So one other thing that I'd like to show you is that it can be, if you have a very large model, for example, not necessarily this one, but if you have a large model, you can get disorientated with all this rotation stuff. Go to the top right, click on the panel there, and reset scene. And this brings the model back to the original import view. And one other thing I want to show you is that you can also, by going to your initials in the upper right, clicking on preferences, you can actually change the mouse behavior. So right now, the standard is that a left click will rotate the model like it does with Seric. But if you prefer that the left click moves the model, then you can configure it like with Medit and with Exocad. So thank you very much.